so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life, well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, this episode of the Positive Head Podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online, and you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Well, hello there, positive heads. Hello. Welcome to the show. So happy to be with you guys. I had to think of a way to just open it up slightly differently. It's really challenging. Once you get used to sort of starting the same way, it's like my brain just can't really fathom saying something differently. And so hopefully I executed that slightly different intro today with grace and ease. I certainly did my best. I'm going to stick with it. How are you guys doing today anyway? Tonight, today, this lifetime, this moment, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's 100 years from the time I'm recording this and someone's hearing it. How are you, person, 100 years from now? What's going on there? What's happening in the future in the other now on the other channel that you happen to be tuned into? I bet it's very interesting. I bet a lot's happened and transpired. Lots transpiring in my world. It is every day is another adventure, a magical adventure. And today we are going to read from Oneness. Chapter 11 is actually the chapter that wants to be heard from, that wants to be put out into the ethers on this moment in time space. Actually came through a little bit of a synchronicity. I was talking to a lovely Elven Empress listener, Kendra, via Messenger just before I was recording. And I was going to ask her as I was signing off for a chapter. Give me a number between 1 and 44. Normally I use a random number generator. Sometimes I'll ask in the Facebook group, which is Positive Heads, by the way. If you guys aren't in there, definitely come join in the fun. But I was just about to ask her to choose a number between 1 and 44, and she happened to message 1111 at that exact moment before I could even ask. So I looked. Chapter 11 from Oneness has not been read yet. In my random choosings over the months of reading from this wonderful transmission received and transcribed by Rasha back in 1998. So chapter 11 it is. Thank you, Kendra, for playing along and co-creating today's episode. Before I dive in, I would like to take a moment to let you guys know that the Positive Head Podcast is now up on Spotify. It's taken a while to get going over there. One of the things is getting the music. I basically started out just playing music that I like at the end of the shows, but as the show grows, I need to get more legit and get permission from each person, and we're in the process of doing that. So in the Short term, what we've done is load all the past interview episodes, and you will see, hopefully starting next week, where the daily episodes will be there as well. So what I would ask from you guys is, if you're on Spotify, even if you're going to listen elsewhere, if you could go subscribe. I'm sure they have some sort of a system similar to Apple, where if more people are subscribing, they probably recommend it to others and things like that. So I don't think there's a rating system, but if you're on Spotify, go search the Positive Head Podcast and just hit subscribe. That would be wonderful to start to build our following over there and whatever comes along with that. I know Spotify is quickly, someone told me that 5% of podcasts now are being listened to through that medium, that platform. So, and it's only had podcasts for a relatively short time. So exciting expansion. I love it. And, let's see. Also, I'm going to read a review on iTunes before I dig into chapter 11 from Oneness today. And this one came in, iTunes, of course, being the holy grail of all things podcasting. And you can write reviews there, and they do help us to reach new people. So if you haven't done so, please jump over to iTunes. Even if you're not listening there, same thing. If you could leave a review, that would be really helpful to help us reach new people. And it certainly helps to fuel my fire to get the feedback that I get through these reviews. They're so, inspiring and encouraging. And as I like to put it, you guys are completing the circle of love that I'm putting out to the world, and it means the world to me. So this one came in by Nicole E. Oli, and the title is It's About Time. Well, here I am almost a year later, finally writing my review. I first discovered the Positive Head podcast April of 2017. I searched positive in the search bar, and this is one of the very first podcasts I found. Okay, real quick. So, because you guys have been doing all these reviews, that's why we came up at the top with that keyword, right? So, you all who previously reviewed helped Nicole to find the show. And to continue her review, reading it, she says, I was instantly hooked and dove in deep, head first. This podcast has been such a game changer for me, opening me up to the spiritual world and providing me with the tools necessary to connect with myself more than ever before. Brandon, I want to thank you for your dedication and for offering your insight to anyone who is ready to receive. You have inspired me to search deep within my heart and soul and connect to my higher self. You truly are a lighthouse in the dark, and your work lights up the lives of many. Love you so much, Nicole O, with a little shaking heart emoji. Thank you, Nicole, for shaking your heart in my direction. I'm shaking it right back at you, and you're beautiful, and I appreciate you. All right, so let's see. Shall we just go right ahead and jump into Oneness Chapter 11? Chapter 11, I do think so. And for those of you who haven't ever heard me read from Oneness before, I've been, as I mentioned, choosing random chapters for a while. And this is channeled information, supposedly, by Rasha. And as I often say, with channeled material, I don't really care what people claim, what the source of the information is. I personally think almost all inspired material art is channeled to some degree or another from your higher self, from whatever your guides, any of that stuff is sort of irrelevant. Ultimately, to me, what is the content of the information? And the content of this book, I view it as the guidebook for ascension. As we sort of go down this path of ever expanding consciousness and awareness, there are certain byproducts of that process, symptoms, if you will. And although we all have our own unique paths in some way, in others, there's some predictable, stopping off points, if you will. And so what's great about this book, it really sort of prepares you for what to expect and to explain and drill into what's really going on with this process of, increasing your vibration, expanding your consciousness and awareness, and becoming or merging back with higher self is the way I see it. So in chapter 11 today, it is the title of this chapter, the sort of highlights they tell you at the beginning: integrating the momentum of change as a population, the catalyst for wars, famines, and natural disasters, deferring to your own truth over reality by consensus. So that's the topics that will be covered. Without further ado, let's dive right in. There is no set pattern to the way in which beings come into awareness. For some of you, the experience of awakening is instantaneous, and the necessary number of exposures to the truth of your own essence is minimal. For those ones, the experience itself is the proof needed to sustain the essence of the initial experience of enlightenment. For others who have embodied that realization on countless occasions, the mind engages in the process, and the exquisitely simple essence of truth is obscured in a hail of questions, doubts, and mentalized concerns. There is no judgment implied here. There is no method of awakening that is preferable to another. It is all experience. It is the journey you choose to give yourself on your personal path to oneness. It does not matter to oneness whether you need to taste truth once or 1,000 times before the light goes on. This is a choice each being makes for himself. No two journeys are alike, and it is not anyone's place to presume that his or her path is the path of choice for another. All that can be shared is your own personal experience of that path. For all that can be taught is that which the student has chosen at the deepest level to learn. Do not be inclined to fault yourself in becoming aware of the pace at which others may be traveling. Some may speed past coming into instant realization. Still others who walk by your side continue to slip and flounder in puddles you have sidestepped or crawled out of long ago. It is not for you to assume an exalted stance simply because another has chosen repeat visits to the puddle in order to reinforce certain understandings. All of it is utterly perfect, just the way it is. As you begin to sustain the rarefied perspective you have attained, it becomes obvious that you are not alone in your perceptions of what is so. For the perspective you have assumed transcends that of the mind, which a lifetime of programming has conditioned to respond in certain ways. One takes on the vantage point of the overview, seeing several sides of a situation simultaneously. This scene does not refer to understanding, which is a manifestation of thought, but rather reflects awareness, which is simply the observing of what is so. That vantage point has no stake in outcome, for it represents the detached multidimensional perspective of your own extended state of being. The higher octaves of your own beingness are not invested in the outcome of interactions in the here and now you perceive as your reality. They are able to add a measure of indifference to the energetic equation. And as you elevate vibrationally, you take on an augmented perspective and an added measure of detachment that allows for a level of objectivity only possible from a distance. While steeped in the emotion-charged dramas which are magnetized to you as part of your process, that elevated perspective is disengaged so long as ego remains engaged. For in defending or asserting ego, you have committed to a perspective that is myopic and have placed the overview out of reach. Detaching from your investment in a particular viewpoint makes available the opportunity to see the multifaceted nature of all dramas. And it offers the potential gift in the recognition of a perspective that may not support the stance of a self still in the bondage of separation. This level of understanding is not born of the process of thought, and it is not something that you can be taught until the individual is ready to learn. This transcendent state of awareness comes automatically when one is energetically attuned to shift into a higher gear of one's own consciousness. The higher level of awareness is no less you than you are. It is not a matter of becoming someone else, for that someone else is you. And as your process evolves, you experience a quickening, wherein a knowingness crystallizes in such an impactful way that it is impressed indelibly upon your consciousness and becomes the only truth possible at that level of awareness. This is the nature of the process of reintegration, experientially on the journey to oneness. The awareness and the integration of heightened levels of understanding are the byproducts of the process, and the end result will be achieved with or without your help. The reintegration of the fragmented aspects of your vibrational essence is, in fact, of human life. What is optional is the level of pain, disease, and discomfort one chooses to experience along the way. When one clings to the trappings of a life that is a monument to separation, the dismantling process is a major undertaking, and its manifestation in that individual's reality can be extremely uncomfortable. When there is surrender to the momentum of a process that is clearly larger than life, one is able to ease through the transitions and experience the full magnitude of joy in one's realization of the heightened states of being. These are the conditions and the choices before you now, for you are oneness in every aspect of your essence. With every minute nuance of your being, you are the embodiment of the energetic equation of life itself. You are the physical expression of a momentum that yearns in unison with all creation to reunite with all that is. And that momentum is flowing in the direction in which it is flowing, regardless of the thoughts, interference, or resistance of anyone or everyone. Should large numbers of individuals demonstrate resistance to the impetus towards unity, the ramifications of that resistance will manifest for that group. When the collective vibration of a population of being resonates at an impeded frequency relative to the population at large, the group in question will experience extreme forms of energy release, which materialize in catastrophic occurrences. Energetically, this is the catalyst for wars, for famines, and for seismic occurrences and other natural disasters. Some of these occurrences are, indeed, expressions of nature, but the impetus for them is provided energetically by the population itself. There are no victims, although it would appear to some that certain individuals experience the results of energy release on behalf of the collective. For as an energetic collective, all are one. The thrust of the release would be the energy of the collective and not necessarily the energy of the individuals affected by it. Thus, it is entirely possible for an individual who is focused in spiritual growth to experience the result of an energy release that is regionally precipitated. An individual's elevated vibration does not guarantee that the individual will be spared the experience of events triggered by the sum total vibration of the region at large. The purging of large populations of individuals that had been foreseen for these times will, in all likelihood, not occur to the degree that had been anticipated. Much has transpired, and the interjection of the free will of the collective has served to shift much of the catastrophic scenario that had been envisioned by seers over the course of the centuries leading up to these times of transformation. And yet, despite the monumental shift in consciousness of large segments of your population, the energetic purging of certain geographic locations seems inevitable. The transformation of which we speak is not limited to individual human beings on planet Earth. It is a phenomenon that will touch every aspect of life itself throughout creation. All life forms will participate in the journey to oneness, and all will be affected energetically by the choices and by the actions of all. As an individual who is open, conscious, and focused in manifesting your loving intent, your obligation, first and foremost, is to yourself. The choices you make in these times reflect your highest desire for your own personal well-being. At the same time, your awareness of the momentum of the whole, which parallels your personal experiences of transformation, will guide you in making choices that reflect that expanded awareness. Yet, your personal well-being is not guaranteed by virtue of the fact that you are making conscious choices. You are affected vibrationally by the energies that surround you in a multiplicity of ways. And the extent to which you integrate your awareness of the interplay of the energies in which you immerse yourself and to which you allow yourself to be vulnerable will determine much of what you will experience. It is quite possible for an individual who is geographically well situated, who dwells in a harmonious environment, and who is open to the dynamics of change and to the emergence of the divinity within, to manifest an exalted, joy-filled experience of transformation. It is equally possible that others who compromise in their choices, either consciously or through lack of awareness, will manifest escalating degrees of difficulty as their energies are caught up in the complexities of the energies of the collective. What you term common sense is definitely a factor with regard to where you choose to place yourself and with whom you choose to interact. Vibrationally, you diminish your own energies every time you engage in a negative encounter with another being. When you choose a negative environment in which to live, you subject yourself to constant exposure to energies that are pulling in the opposite direction to the one in which you are consciously headed, and you are affected by them. If the environmental disturbance is too extensive to be transformed by interpersonal dynamics, there remains the choice to change your location to one that is harmonious. The choice to refrain from exposing yourself to negative environments is always there for you. Ideally, that choice will be made from a place of conscious awareness that the energies of the whole do affect you, regardless of how elevated you consider yourself to be. We are all of one essence, and even though the momentum is one in which the actions of the collective affects each of the parts, and the choice of every individual affects the whole, there is an overriding impetus of divine intent driving the process. Unity will come to be, and it is of little consequence from the collective vantage point of all creation whether beings at a particular crossroads in time and space make the contribution of resistance or non-resistance to the energies of change. These powerful forces will carry you with them, flowing in the direction in which life itself is going and at the pace at which life itself is traveling. Either way, your perception of the journey, your personal experience of it, is what you are here to create. All the rules are changing now. Your world, as you have been schooled to understand it, has already ceased to be. The cellular structure of every life form on your planet has been altered. The resonant vibration of every living thing has been augmented, and the attunement of all consciousness to heightened levels of existence has been achieved. As a race, the human population has opened itself to receive the gift of grace. And even though precious few are aware of that shift, all are manifesting the result in one form or another. Some who have recognized their newfound abilities to manifest reality as they would like it to be have learned to pool their collective strengths and to create a force for change on behalf of all. These ones, who are small but growing in number, have set the pace for others in the here and now and continue to demonstrate by their own choices the possibilities available to all. These are the forerunners of a new paradigm. These are the pioneers whose lives herald a world whose rules are being written and continue to be rewritten in the moment. The pace at which change is manifesting is an ongoing phenomenon. Life is not simply turning the page and writing itself a new overall script to which all must adhere indefinitely. The very foundations for the creation of your reality are, in fact, ever-changing. In these times, that change is happening at a pace so rapid that it can be noted not only in the cosmic overview of your history, or even by a generation, but in a single lifetime, yours. Your very life is a testimonial to change, and as you become consciously aware that the only thing that can be counted on is the realization that nothing can be counted on, you will shift from a mindset of expectation to one of allowance. You cannot control anything now. You are in fact totally out of control. And these are the optimum conditions for maximizing the process of energy integration and for manifesting life experiences that you will find enjoyable. Resistance to the reality that things are not the way they were when your schooling purportedly taught you the rules of the game will only reinforce the difficulties you may choose to create for yourself. Openness to what your own experience has shown you is real is the best possible response to the conditions at hand. It matters less what others may be saying or what the so-called teachers of your times may be espousing as truth. Your own experience is the highest truth for you. And it is this reality that ideally serves as your lamplight in the uncharted territory of these times. Each of you is a master in your own right. Each of you has sufficient life experience to serve as a reference point for what is so for you. Conditioned deference to the leadership of others over the input of one's own experience can only inhibit the pace at which you travel on your journey. For your life is a testimonial to your own choices and the insights you are able to glean from them. The habit of looking to others for a nod of approval does not serve to reinforce your autonomy as a self-realized being. It reflects and fosters dependency. There's but one truth on which you can depend, no matter what, your own. All things are possible now. In essence, the slate has been wiped clean. It is a new kind of world, one in which dreams can be realized in an instant. One in which the deities who walk amongst you can be recognized as your own emerging selves. It is a world where you are able to feel supported, happy, and successful in your endeavors, and one where the indescribable joy of being in sync with the momentum of limitlessness is your birthright. These are the conditions at hand, right here, right now, not someday, but in this very moment. The sacred journey of transformation has delivered you right to the doorstep. All that is optional is whether you choose to cross the threshold and experience it. Lovely, lovely, lovely. That's the end of chapter 11 from Oneness, the teachings by Rasha. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I definitely did. What is it saying? Let go. Quit holding on so tightly. You're You're here to ride the wave. You're not here. All of you out there who have had those experiences of being hyper controlling, right? And we've all experienced it to some degree or another. We've either had very controlling moments, or you have others, who it's a theme in their makeup, in their reality. I challenge you now. I urge you now, for your own good, to let go of all that. That's a past chapter that doesn't serve you anymore. It doesn't serve you going forward. Let it flow. Let your higher self lead you. You don't need to control anything. You're not designed. The optimal way to take the ride is not to control it. You don't get on the roller coaster and say, okay, now I'm going to tell you where to go. You sit back and you enjoy it, right? And that's the way you dance with your higher self, not through trying to hold on and figure it all out and you have all the answers. The more I know, guys, the more I realize I don't know. So it's such a beautiful thing to be able to say, I don't need to try so hard. I have so much work I'm working on, so much, so many openings energetically, from a business that's growing at a fast pace to the show to, just so many interactions with amazing beings. And it can get overwhelming sometimes to try and kind of control and wrangle it all. And then I remember, I can just do what I can and let the rest go. The journey is the goal. I don't need to hold on so tight. I don't need to have all the answers figured out. I can set goals and aims with very loose expectations or needs. I can expect good things, but not need them, and just take the ride. You bought the ticket, take the ride. Don't buy the ticket and then try and build the ride, nail by nail, brick by brick. It's already been built. You're just here to catch the right waves and follow your gut, follow the flow, turn over rocks. And if there's a clue, then keep going. If there's not, and doors are closing in your face, let it go. There's a million other paths. There's a million other things, a million other ways. There's no shortage of ways that you can flow into where you're meant to be next. The thing you can do is get in your own way by holding on to an old idea or thought or controlling energy that no longer serves you with who you're becoming now. You're moving into a new version of yourself. The butterfly is emerging, and you are going to continually expand into more and more of a flow state, not needing any of these ideas about what the future is or isn't or should be or whatever. Let all it go. Let all of it go. Let it emerge naturally from your joyous state of, not knowing, not needing to know. It's like, I think about Christmas. You guys have heard me talk about this before as a kid. Was it better for those of you that celebrated Christmas, that I did, so I'll use that as an example. It's like, was it better Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? I don't know. Maybe Christmas Eve. Not knowing is just as fun. Just know that the goodness is coming. You don't need to have all the I's dotted and T's crossed. And if something challenging comes, embrace it. Wrap your arms around it. Love it up. Whatever arises, love that, Matt Kahn said. And I really love that quote. Whatever arises, love that. That's how you transcend any of the difficult stuff effortlessly with grace and ease. That's the path of someone who gets it. And you're someone that gets it, which is why you're here and tuned into this broadcast at this moment. It resonates so closely with you that you're choosing to reflect it back to yourself, right? Well, I do have one last place to journey with you today, and that is by leaving you with a song. And as I tried to decide, I went to pick a song with some intention and some free flow energy, same as we're talking about here. I was like, this artist Charisma that I loved put out new music recently. Koresma. And let's see what's there. Oh, what do you know? There's a song called Forest Sang. The Elven Empress who helped to choose today's chapter is quite foresty, and we talked a little bit about the forest, her natural habitat, so it seemed like the appropriate song to play for today. This is Forest Sang by Charisma. Hope you guys enjoyed as much as I do. Until next time, journey well. Love you all so much. Farewell for now. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.